The Meatlogs DVD is coming.
Evening, so thank you for all taking the time and energy to come out. This brother here is known as Junior James, aka Sherlock. Many of you may know him personally, some of you may begin to get to know him. He's written a book. His book is called Different, and it is about his life and his journey as somebody who was a drug dealer, smuggler. He was addicted to crack cocaine, not through choice, through the lifestyle of what one lives. I already realised that many of you have already signed up for the book. Rise up to all the young people in the house this evening particularly, and rise up to the young people that have taken their money and bought the book this evening, because I'm particularly promoting the book to younger people and to parents that really don't know what's going on with their children. And the book is a very good book because it's got telltale signs.
When he first came out and he showed me the manuscript, I introduced him to a friend called Von Moser. We actually sat down and we designed how the front of the book's going to look. But more important, when he was going through this, he was with me and a lot of people and a lot of my friends, and that's why I'm here tonight, because he's a person who's actually turned his life around. I myself haven't experienced a lot of the things he's experienced, and you may have experienced similar tragedy, ups and downs in your life. But this shows, if you put your mind to something, you can see it to the end. And this is only part one of a trilogy. Peace out.
Alright, I'd like to thank everybody for coming to my book launch today. It's been a hard road still. This publishing thing isn't as easy as I'd hoped it would be. But since I put the book out, I've been getting a good response. I'm not going to go too much into it now. I'm going to wait till Sister Aura interviews me. So I just like to say thanks to everybody for turning up.
United front still, so all the best, man, all the best. One up.
Man's representing the book, gonna help Sherlock sell it, aka Mr. Diffrent.
Did my own little research and I told my son about it and I said, yeah, we need to come here and get some.
I just want to see how he thinks something like that can change today's youth and the way they think today, that sort of thing.
Oh my gosh, what are you going to do with the footage?
The process of change that he's gone through. That's something I really admire and respect in people. The ability to turn around their life and move it forward in a positive direction.
It affects you and it affects me, because what's going on outside is affecting the community that I live in. So it affects me, so it should be affecting all of you too. The journey is quite deep, so we're going to start at the beginning. Who you are, let ones and ones know, and a little bit of your family background and your early part of your school life, so we know if you went to school, if you had any ambition, or did you just directly start being a shotter. Good evening and welcome, Sherlock. And thank you as well for asking me as hostess or the mostess this evening, so thank you.
Thank you for coming, Sister Aura. Before I even answer your question, there's one person I'd like to spend a special request to, and that is Sister Gwen, Christian lady, and from I've come out of prison, she's been praying for me hard, and I called her this morning and we've done some strong prayers on the phone, and it's turned out to be a nice night. So I'd like everybody in the house to give a round of applause.
Blessed love.
Thank you.
Okay, at the beginning.
At the beginning. Well, my name is Junior James, as everybody knows. The middle name is Anthony. I was born on Brixton Hill, and then from Brixton Hill I moved to the back of Mill Road. Stayed there till I was age 2, and then I moved to Campbell Buildings, and that's where I first really remember growing up. I lived there with my mum and my sister Marva. I have another brother and sister on my dad's side. My dad's also here tonight, so show a round of applause for my dad in the place.
Rise up, Dad, for the support.
Yeah, so as a youth growing up, there's one thing I didn't like school, because my reading and writing was very poor, and how much the teachers then would try and teach me, or my mum would try and teach me, even sometimes my sister Marv would try and teach me, I just couldn't get it. So I shied away from school and wasn't really into school. From primary school I started bunking school, and then when I first started secondary school, as a youth growing up, I used to love DJing on sound system and them thing there. Well, it's something I always wanted to do, and I started DJing on the sound system them, and I built a name for myself as Sherlock the DJ in the ghetto, and that's when I first found something what I was good at. So because I found I was good at this DJ thing, I totally forgot about school, and I wasn't interested in education, not knowing that in the long run this is going to really affect me big time in my life.
what the lack of not being able to complete a full education?
Yeah, Kai, you don't know without no education in this, you're kind of stuck still, you get me?
But a lot of our young people in our communities, they especially from not just stereotyping, not the stereotyping of our young people, but young people have an issue with education. It's hard to understand the British system because it's a lot of, teach a lot of what doesn't inspire one culturally. So would you say that your lack of interest was due to the fact that you didn't find the English education interested, or the fact that there was additional problems with you learning?
Alright, back in my day it was called remedial, innit? And through the reading and writing was just so weak, I would have a play up in class.
Shh, shh, shh. Thank you. Sorry, Sherlock. Go ahead, please. Go ahead, go on. Sherlock, go ahead. Stay focused.
Anyway, so what was the question again?
Question is about your education in school, why you diverted from it. Was it anything specific?
No, my reading and writing was just poor, and there's certain spellings I just couldn't get. No matter how much I try, I just couldn't get them.
Okay, can I then?
Hold on a minute, there's an interruption going on. Can we try and sort this out?
Can we just put this on pause, please? Otherwise, this is being streamed live and I don't want no interruptions. Can you take it outside and have a discussion outside, please, rather than here? Just thank you. Okay, can we have a little bit of hush in the house, please? Thank you. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Sorry to everyone, apologies for the interruptions beyond our control. But let's continue with the interview. After the education, you got into the DJing thing, something you found that you had a talent in. Wasn't working in academics in terms of education, but you had a talent with the DJing. So as a young you, what age were you when you were inspired to be a DJ? And my second question, half of the question is going to be, what changed from that stage to what you ended up being in?
I started DJing on the sound system from I was age 13. The first sound I was DJing on was Babyphonic. Also an older sound for us was called Stereophonic, but the main sound what I used to DJ on was Younger Sovereign. We was like the best younger sound in the district, and we all built a nice little name for ourselves. It was like a little community thing as well, and we'd go around to different areas. Them time that we could come out of our area code, we could even go West London, East London, and we just go and do our thing, and we just used to DJ everywhere and have a nice time. And then while that was all going on, that sort of died down for a while, and then there was certain man who on road, they were doing like street robberies, breaking into houses, and true I never had no education, and through peer pressure and just watching and following the people them, I started going on street robberies, started breaking into houses, but I never felt good about what I was doing. I always knew what I was doing was wrong, but I just continued what I was doing, just following the crowd anyway.
So how did you get to the stage from street robbery, not feeling good about what you got yourself into, how it was making you feel as a person, clearly not a part of who you wanted to be, but then you stepped into an even deeper realm, which is...
Now before that, I got a job in Harrods as a warehouse assistant, and that was like the best job I had, and then I must say about 17 or 18, and it was the very first time I heard about recession, and the recession kicked in and lots of people got laid off from work, and I was one of the people that got laid off. And then from then I was just loafing again, smoking weed, not doing nothing with myself. And then it's like certain man we used to par with, everyone started selling drugs, and me, naive, watchy again, went and got myself involved in it.
So you got yourself involved in drugs. In what aspects? Because there's many forms of getting involved in drugs. How did you become hooked into the game, the street game of selling drugs? And I'm going to ask you about the addiction to crack, but I want you to kind of give an example of how that road came. It just seems like you say it's so easy that I got into drugs, brethren are doing it, everybody's doing it, so I just got into it. This has had an impact on your life in a more unexpected way, which you didn't expect. So after becoming a shotter or beginning the road of shotting, being on road, how did that make you feel, and what was that road about?
No, it didn't start like that. It started from one day me and a few the man them was on the street, and we done a street robbery, and with the money it was too much man them to share the money up. So one of my brethren them said, let's buy some shit, and that's crack. I just started smoking weed and never had no interest in smoking crack, but everyone was taking it in turn, smoking it out my brethren's window in his mum's house. I went and followed them, and I started smoking a spliff as well. It was the first time I ever tasted it, And after my first couple pulls, I broke out into a cold sweat. When my belly started to hurt and I had to sit back on the bed. Then one of my brethren said to me, just cool, rude boy. That happened to me the first time I smoked it, and from then I flipped out and I said, man, go on road and rob for this. And I said to myself, I'm never going to touch that again, but more fool me, because it was the first of many, many, many to come.
So those of you who've read the book, this guy's had a fight with the history of crack cocaine and just how easy it was. Any one of us in this room's children, ourselves as sisters and brethren can have this road, because all it takes is a crisis or a trauma of finance or a crisis of a family, and we're all looking. We were talking about depression earlier and how easy we suffer. What we go to is not necessarily our choice, it's just what's happened to us at the time when we're going through our trauma. You got into smoking. You've explained how it made you feel. What did this then bring you into? Not just the smoking, but the lifestyle of being a shotter.
Alright, so when I started dealing drugs now, like when you bag out the food, there's a lot of crumbs left. So me and the man then would share the crumbs. So anyway, I built a spliff out of the crumbs. And this time it didn't have that effect on me, it just smoked smooth. And again, I just couldn't see what the fuss was like, how this can turn anybody to a junkie or anything like that. So I just really paid it no mind what I was doing, because when the crumbs finished, that was it, it's finished. Market money was market money, profit was profits, crumbs we just bun.
But it's in the book it's not that easy, because guess what? You ended up in the beginning, in this early stage, £12,000 worth in debt, according to what I've read in your book. You then went from £12,000 to nearly 20 or 26.
50.
There you go. Total maximum of 50 grand in the end. But it's a slow process. So the fact that you started to smoke, you didn't really think you were addicted, didn't think nothing of it. Still shotting drugs at this time?
Yeah, I was shotting drugs and just buying our food, chopping up, bunning the crumbs, get our profits, market money, and everything was good. But as time went on...
How did the debt come about?
But as time went on, it started to... I was making so much money now that man got a bit too big for their shoes, and I started busting my profits. Now, for all those who don't understand what profits is, basically you get an ounce of crack for, nowadays you might get that for £800-900, and you bag out, I don't know, £1,500. So what you bagged out is your profits, and I started going into my profits. And then I might, instead of making a £500 profit, I might make a £200. But true money was making and money was saving. I wasn't really noticing that I was now hooked to this drug, because I was smoking it every day. Then it got to the stage where I would smoke all my profits off, then my market money enough to buy my ounce. I couldn't buy an ounce no more, so I'd have to go back and buy a half ounce and a quarter.
Who are you borrowing money from?
No, I've got my ounce money in it. I've got my own ounce money. I ain't got no money for no one yet.
Not at this point.
No, I haven't got nothing for nobody yet.
Look how busy you are, and yet you're already hooked before you've got yourself into this madness of debt and people running you down for money. This is a serious game. This is not a game where somebody should be laughing or thinking it's good, because this is somebody's journey. You get yourself in something that not everybody lives to tell the story. You've got somebody's living to tell the story. Enough of our children out there are died and they've dead, and we can't have no answers to why they've dead, because it's simple over this kind of little runnings.
I know that some of the people you might hear laughing,
I know, it's
they're not
shock.
even laughing on that level.
I know,
it's like some of them, they've been there as well.
Exactly, and they know the journey. But we need to understand, particularly for the young people, this is not about doing this interview because it's exciting and promoting the excitement of it. It's promoting the seriousness of somebody's journey. And I said this already to Sherlock before when we did the interview at Genesis, that you're lucky and you're blessed, and you need to give thanks that you're here to talk your story and write your story. Because enough of our children are in graveyards, enough parents are crying tears and still don't have the answers that you're here able to give and talk and share. So it's a serious thing, and I'm really concerned about this, how easy it is to be hooked on this crack. How easy it is for you to think as a person or anybody who's experienced this, that guess what, I can't control my things on one, but one split me a bun. That was your beginning.
Yeah, that was the beginning.
So you need to talk, I'm going to ask you another question about not only the debt, talk about how you got into debt, who you owed money to, and that whole mad circle of what that brought you into before we touch on the next experience and journey.
Alright, so as I was saying, bunned off my started bunning off my profits, then I started bunning into my market money, then I was like down to a half ounce, and then through everyone around me see me driving, I'm wearing new clothes, my phone's always ringing. One by one, my brethren them or man them started offering me money. No one wasn't looking to say, rah, look how much weight Sherlock's lost. Look how his face is all sucked in or anything like that. And I borrowed money from them, a couple of grand, and I thought, yeah, that's it now, I'm gonna stop the smoking because I need to pay back this man's money and get my money up. But it's like I just couldn't stop, so basically he gave me 2 grand, and within a matter of weeks, his 2 grand was gone. And just as it reached the bottom of his 2 grand, and next one of the man them come to me and said, yo Sherlock, I got a thing going in and I got a little money put down, you can do something for me. So I said yes straight away, thinking it is my time, I can get out of trouble now, I'm gonna stop smoking. But again, I just burned off his money. Then just as his money done, and I think shit, what I'm gonna do, about 3 more man just started throwing money at me, throwing drugs at me, and it just escalated from there. And then every time I was getting the drugs, I tell myself, right, I'm not gonna bun no more, it done. And as soon as I get the drugs, I start bunning off the drugs, and it's escalated until I got myself into 12 grand debt.
What happened after the 12 grand debt? Because you tried to bring yourself off. You kept telling yourself you weren't hooked. You kept saying, I'm not bunning today, this evening I'm cool, gonna hold my corner. Mum was out, you were bunning during the days. In the evenings you got hooked into it. So from the 12 grand debt that you had, you then continued to borrow money, juggle your runnings, and still somehow keep yourself above water. What were you thinking at that time to yourself, that boy, you're good to go, that you got things under control on your business side as well as your drugs? What was going on? Because at some point you can see yourself getting addicted and telling yourself that you're not.
Well, I always believed I was gonna clear up the debts, and it just kept on escalating and getting to more and more debt. By now I was really stressed out, and my way to hide all the stress and stop thinking about what was going on was just smoke more. So I'm just like, now basically I'm just stuck in this vicious circle. I got man ringing me, asking me for money, until things got that bad that I went into a very, very bad depression. And right, go to it then.
I'm going to come in to touch that because I'm glad that you've opened that door. One of the things I want to talk about, for those of you that haven't read the book, Sherlock has spoken about his attempted suicide, and it's quite painful to read it, to know that, we know that people go through their journeys, but this debt, owing money, constant, now being totally hooked on crack cocaine, even though at that time you didn't believe within yourself you were an addict at that point. Can you talk about a little bit of your attempted suicide and the impact that it's had on you and your family members, please?
So I had people pressuring me for money. Crack is the thing, when you're hooked on it, it takes away your hope, innit? It takes away your faith, takes away your belief. It makes you think very negative, and I got myself into a very negative place, very dark place, and all I'm thinking is, Chai, you might as well kill yourself, you don't need to be living no more. No one ain't gonna care if you're dead. You're a waste of space, you're a waste, man, just end it now. And then I just felt weak as well, I felt tired, and as soon as I turned my phone and I got people running me down for money, and I couldn't take no more.
So what did you do?
So I ain't gonna go too deep into it, but basically I took an overdose. I took a whole heap of different tablets and some rap